Needs assessment for an education, health and care plan, also known as an EHCP. What is an education, health and care plan? An EHC needs assessment is a detailed look at the special educational needs (SEN) of a young person or a child and the support he or she may need in order to learn. Local authorities are responsible for carrying out EHC needs assessment under the Children and Families Act 2014. The needs assessment brings together information about what a child or young person can and cannot do, the special help that they may need. It includes information from the parent carer, the child or young person, the early years setting, school or college, other professionals who work or support the child or young person, and an educational psychologist. The assessment is to see if the child or young person may need an education, health and care plan. An EHCP is a legal document written by the local authority. It describes the special educational needs that a child or young person has and the help that they will be given in order to meet them. It also includes the health and care needs related to education and the provision that is needed when it relates to the special educational needs of the child. You can read more about EHCPs in our booklets and overview of an EHCP. When is an EHC needs assessment necessary? Early years settings, schools or post-16 settings give children or young people with SEN additional support to meet their needs. This is called SEN support. If the child or young person does not make progress despite SEN support, an EHC needs assessment might be the next step. This means to get an assessment, you will need to show that your child or the young person may have special educational needs and may need an EHCP. The SEND Code of Practice says, a local authority must conduct an assessment of education, health and care needs when it considers that it may be necessary for special educational provision to be made for the child or young person in accordance with an EHCP. You can find that at 9.3 of the SEND Code of Practice 2014. Who can ask for an EHC needs assessment? The parent, carer of the child or young person, a young person over the age of 16 but under the age of 25, the early years setting or school or post-16 institution, after they've spoken with you first, and anyone else, such as a doctor or a health visitor, can tell the local authority that they think a child or young person needs an assessment. How will I be involved? Your views and those of your child or young person are really important. The local authority, school or college should help you take part and involve you in decision making. If you would like help to do this, please contact Norfolk SEND Partnership for impartial information, advice and support, or read our booklet, Writing Your Views for an EHCP, which is available on the website. How to ask for an EHC needs assessment. You can complete an online request form, which you will find on the Norfolk local offer. Visit www.norfolk.gov.uk/send or call or write to Norfolk County Council. What to include in the request. You should include the date of birth, the early years setting, school or post-16 setting that they are attending. If you have already spoken to anyone about the child or young person, you should submit copies of any reports, including the school's SEN support. You should include an example of the child or young person's work, your child or young person's views, if at all possible, and why you feel the child or young person may need to be assessed. What happens when the local authority gets a request for an EHC needs assessment? As soon as the local authority gets a request for an EHC needs assessment, they must tell you about it, and they must pay attention to your views and the views of your child or young person. The local authority must also tell the school, the health commissioning body, and social care that they are considering whether to assess the child or young person. The child or young person may then need to be assessed. The local authority will look at a child or young person's attainment and rate of progress, their special educational needs, what support they have already had, the difference that that support has made, their child or young person's physical, emotional, social development, and any health needs. The local authority has up to 6 weeks to decide whether to make an EHC needs assessment. They must then tell you whether they have decided to either start the EHC needs assessment or that a needs assessment is not necessary as a child's young person's needs can be met at SEN support level. The SEND Code of Practice says, in considering whether an EHC needs assessment is necessary, local authority should pay particular attention to the views, wishes and feelings of the child and his or her parent or the young person. And you can find that at 9.12 of the SEND Code of Practice 2014. What happens if the local authority decides that an EHC needs assessment is not necessary? The local authority must tell you why it thinks an EHC needs assessment is not needed, and they must tell you about your right of appeal to the first tier tribunal and the time limit for appealing, independent mediation, and how to get further information, advice, or support. The local authority should also give you feedback collected during the assessment. If you do not agree with this decision, you can discuss this with the EHCP coordinator, whose name will be on the letter from the local authority, or call Kids Mediation and Disagreement Resolution Service. For more information and support, please contact us at Norfolk Send Partnership or read our booklet, What If I Don't Agree, which is available on our website. You can also appeal this decision to the first tier tribunal, but you have to consider mediation first. Kids SEND Mediation and Disagreement Resolution Service have a very effective phone line, and the phone number for that is 0330 062 835. What happens if the EHC needs assessment goes ahead? The local authority will write to you to tell you that they are going to assess the child or young person and will ask you for any further information. Your views and your child or young person's views are really important. The local authority will ask a number of other people for this information. This is called advice and should include information about their education, health and care needs, outcomes, so what the child or young person should achieve with the support, and the support or provision they will get to meet their needs and achieve these outcomes. The local authority must ask for advice and information from the parent or young person, the child or young person's early years setting or school, an educational psychologist, health professionals who work with the child or young person. This might include a paediatrician, speech and language therapists, a physiotherapist, or an occupational therapist, social care, or anyone else who may be able to give relevant advice. If a child has a vision or hearing impairment, the local authority must seek information and advice from a suitably qualified specialist teacher before obtaining the rest of the educational advice and information. The local authority should also try to find out the child or young person's views. You, the school, and other professionals may be able to help with this. You can find out more about advice and information for EHC needs assessment in the SEND Code of Practice, sections 9.45 through 9.52. The SEND Code of Practice says, local authorities must consult the child and the child's parent or the young person throughout the process of assessment and production of an EHCP. They should also involve the child as far as possible in this process. The needs of the individual child and young person should sit at the heart of the assessment and planning process. That's at 9.21 of the SEND Code of Practice 2014. What if some of this advice is already available? Again, the SEND Code of Practice says, the local authority must not seek further advice if such advice has already been provided for any purpose, and the person providing the advice, the local authority, and the child's parent or the young person are all satisfied that it is sufficient for the assessment process. In making this decision, the local authority and the person providing the advice should ensure that the advice remains current, and that can be found at 9.47 of the SEND Code of Practice 2014. What happens when the EHC needs assessment is complete? Once the local authority has all the information and advice, it must decide whether the child or young person needs an education, health and care plan, or, as I've referred to it before, an EHCP. What if the local authority decides not to issue an EHCP? Sometimes the local authority will decide that a child or young person has special educational needs that can be met through SEN support and therefore decide not to issue an EHCP. If this is the case, the local authority must tell you of its decision within 16 weeks of receiving the original request. They must provide you with written feedback, including evidence and the reports from the professionals collected as part of the assessment. The local authority must also tell you about your right of appeal and the time limit, the need to consider mediation if you wish to appeal, how to get information, advice and support. The local authority should also tell you about the resources available to meet the child young person's needs within schools or early settings. The SEND Code of Practice says, an EHCP needs assessment will not always lead to an EHCP. The information gathered during the assessment may indicate other ways in which the school, college or other provider can meet the child or young person's needs without an EHCP, and that can be found at 9.6 of the SEND Code of Practice 2014. What happens next if the local authority does decide to issue an EHCP? If the local authority decides an EHCP is necessary, they must issue one. A parent or young person has the right to request a personal budget at this stage. For more information on personal budgets, read our booklet, Personal Budgets, which is available on our website. The local authority must write a draft EHCP and send it to you with copies of the reports so you can read it all. These reports contain the information that the plan has been written from. Make sure you keep all the paperwork which arrives with the draft plan, as you may need it later. You should check that everything you think is important has been included and that you agree with the needs of the child or young person, the outcomes and the proposed provision. See our booklet, Reading and Understanding an EHCP, for more advice. The draft EHCP must not name the school or type of provision, as the plan should be written based on the child or young person's needs, not on what type of school or a certain school that should be provided. You have at least 15 days to say which school or establishment you would like the child or young person to go to, make comments, and ask for a meeting to accept the draft plan. The local authority must meet with you if you ask for a meeting during this time. Many children with an EHCP will stay in a mainstream provision, but those with more complex needs may require a specialist provision. Note that if you do not reply within 15 days, the local authority may assume you agree with the draft plan and issue a final plan. Final EHCP. If you have asked for amendments and they are agreed by the local authority, or if they are not agreed, the local authority must send you a final EHCP within 20 weeks from the request of the assessment. Keep your EHCP and the letter that it came with safe. If you are not happy with the final EHCP, including the name of the school, you can appeal to the First Tier Tribunal, SEND. You may have to consider mediation. For more information, read our What If I Do Not Agree booklet and Chapter 11 in the SEND Code of Practice, also available on our website. Finally, how can we help? You can contact us at Norfolk SEND Partnership for impartial information and advice about the options open to you at any stage during the assessment and with the EHCP. Please visit our website for a wide range of information, including booklets, and also to find out contact details, which are on the back page of this booklet. Contact us. We are the Norfolk SEND Partnership, and you can call us on 01603 704070 or text us on 07860 033 614. Find our email address, which is sendpartnership.iass@norfolk.gov.uk, and our website is www.norfolksendpartnership.iass.org.